Hey guys, ladies, welcome back. In my previous video, I talked to you very briefly about the character creation, things you could do as far as making your character personal and customizing him or her to look the way you want them to look, and the cons and pros to that. I also talked about the skinning and the ability to change items to look the way you want them to look based on the appearance of other items. For example, World of Warcraft calls it transmogrification, other games call it skinning. It's the same thing, just Aion is more robust and just allows for a deeper experience as far as customization goes. Now, in this video, I'm going to attempt to break down the various in-game elements of Aion, what you can expect from playing the game, and things you can see or rather not see if you're not a member of a certain faction. I'll have to do videos for both factions at some point, but for now we're going to focus on the Elios because I have my level 65 Templar here. Archilon, some of you may already know me if you're on Tiamat. If you're not, I'm on Tiamat and my character's name is Archilon. Okay. Whisper me, I guess, if you log in and just want to chat or you want to ask me questions, go ahead and do that. But for now, let's talk about Aion in-game, what it is to play the game, and what you can experience. Alright, so right off the bat, aerial combat. And I'm about to run out of flight time. So aerial combat is key to the game. There is a free, 360-degree movement. You are not restricted in your movement at all. You can move in any direction you want. And there's also land and land combat. So you can go from land to aerial just like that. It's almost the same as, just mounted movement in certain games where you can go from the ground to aerial combat if you have a mount, but not that many games, not that many MMOs rather, let you have that serene aerial combat, that visceral aerial combat. Aion does. For example, my mounts that I have here, let me just go ahead and... Oh, that's right, I can't mount in this area. I'm sorry guys, I'll have to go to a different area later to show you that. But you do have mounts that can fly in the game. Mounts that you can use for ground and aerial movement. But let's talk about the combat. Let's head on down here. So, jump down here. I'm going to show you, hopefully, what combat is like from an aerial perspective. And I think I may have just aggroed our first volunteer. I kind of thought they were trying to go with the Metal Gear Solid alert theme. That bleeping sound was kind of cool initially, but after a while it gets old. Just one of those things you either live with or you just mute entirely in the game and just deal with it that way. But yes, there's aerial combat and there's ground combat. So I can go from fighting this mob as he is right here and fighting a mob that is entirely different without entering like an instanced location. Now some of these mobs will run away from you because they cannot naturally fly. Some of these mobs will stay and fight if they have range skills. And it's just something you have to get used to. The game tries to balance out between mobs that can and can't run away. So for example, I think these mobs will stay and fight because they're aerial mobs. They can fly, they can run away. But as you can see, the combat is still very visceral, and I can swap back and forth between different weapon sets in game while flying, and it's just a very, very serene, very real-timey, I guess, combat. There, like you can see my skills that I use, none of them have global cooldowns. I could use any skill at any time, and that's just kind of how the combat is. So let's move on to a different zone. I'm going to use my return skill or my recall skill or Hearthstone if you're from any of the other games, and just tell you what it's like to play the game. Ooh, there's a lot of people here. Alright, so first place we're going to go to is... Oh, we have a camp here, so let's head to this camp. Alright, so Aion is a very PvP-centric game. You're going to spend a lot of your time, particularly above level 60, PvPing. If you don't like PvPing, it's going to be hard to not PvP or not enter situations where you have to PvP because it's open world PvP past level 60. You can somewhat avoid it from level 1 to 60 because there's a fast track server that you can get on and just streamline your leveling, just enjoy the quest, enjoy the lore, experience the game and its content without the hassle of having to PvP. Well, all that changes once you get past level 60 because now you're in these two zones, Catalem and Denari, actually 3 zones, and the Idian Depths that require you to PvP. So let's go ahead and head on to that one location I told you about. Alright, I'm trying to get far enough away so I can summon my... There we go. Alright, so there's obviously mounts in the game. And as I was trying to tell you before, mounts have features too. So you'll always run faster on your mount, and they have a sprint feature that uses up your flight time, as opposed to you actually gliding away, which is something you can do. Double tap spacebar to glide, and I'll show you that up here, I believe. Hopefully we encounter, or hopefully we don't encounter, it really depends on the class, some PvP, so I can show you what that's like as well. It's very fast-paced, you need to be on your toes about everything. I believe that is a cleric. Hopefully they do not want to engage, because I detest fighting clerics.
The Elios will win this conflict.
This is the only one I had to do, I believe. Nope. Okay, so I still have to take out a few of these guys. I'm gonna let that person handle that. So, see how I swapped to my greatsword? Aion's combat allows you to swap freely between your different modes, your different skill sets, and your different weapon sets. So nothing is linked or nothing is restricted as far as what you can do unless, for example, the skill requires that you have a shield, or the skill requires that you, if you're a different class, the skill requires that you have a pistol or a aether cannon, for example. Some skills are the same. For example, my Shining Slash, I can use it with my sword, or my greatsword. The only difference is the damage increase, obviously. So I'm going to try to give you an example here where I stun this mob and immediately stumble them, and I change my weapon to a greatsword and link the chain. And I can swap at any time back and forth. This is key, especially in PvP, because it adds another level of strategy to how you PvP versus certain classes. For example, I may be up against a class that has a melee crit DPS type build, so a melee burst build. And I have the ability as a Templar to block those attacks. By blocking those attacks, or essentially mitigating those attacks by blocking, I reduce the amount of damage I receive. So something to keep in mind. So I can burst them down while they're stunned, keep them, at a distance with my shield, or keep them from doing too much damage to me with my shield, and then when I feel confident enough to go on the offensive, swap back to my greatsword and finish them off. I'll try to showcase that here. So say this mob, for example. I will hopefully block a few of these mob's attacks. There we go. And I can stun. And now he's stunned, swap to my shield. Swap to my greatsword and just finish him off. Effectively mitigating a large chunk of damage if I would have just, stood there with my greatsword and tried to burst him. Not too much damage for my level and my gear because I'm actually decently geared, but if you were someone who was new to the game, things like this are very critical because you don't want to end up tanking or in a situation where there are lots of mobs and you're using the wrong weapon set. You don't want to use your greatsword when going up against a large amount of mobs. If you're a cleric, you don't want to use your staff while trying to take on 5 mobs. You want to have your shield and your mace handy so you can mitigate damage. This is all just the combat aspect, and I'll go more in depth in this in my PvP tutorial videos, and at some point I'll do a PvE tutorial video as well. So we're done with combat. Let's talk about housing. A lot of you might not know this, but Aion has a housing system. Not very many people know about Aion, not very many people seem to look it up, but once you get into the game, you find there are a lot of systems in place that make the game very rich, very involved. So let's go ahead and hop over to my house here. I actually have one. And it's the same thing as far as character personalization and character customization. Everything in my house, as you're about to see, I have put down myself. So, you know, the rugs, the walls, the furniture, the NPCs, and this NPC is facing the wall. I'm not entirely sure why he is facing the wall, but that can be changed. So trophies from instances, acquired from instances or bought off the store, again, they're microtransactions. This aren't just items, you know, I can use them. I can sit on the chair, I can move around. You probably already know this if you've played games like, I think Star Wars is just starting to get that now, which is funny because Aion has had this housing system in place since 2010, I believe, 2011, since the 3.0 update, which was a few years back. But just now, the market is starting to adapt to this skinning, transmogging, and housing, and just allowing players to personalize their experience in these games when Aion has had this for years, especially housing. Warlords of Draenor is coming out with the garrisons. Arcade has its housing system in place right now, and Star Wars is just now coming out with the strongholds. But Aion, I believe, has a much deeper, in my opinion, a much deeper character creation system and a much deeper character personalization system as far as housing, what your character looks like, what you can do with your character. All right, enough about that. Let's get back to the housing. So as you can see, my house looks fairly decent. I can actually open the door here. It's not instanced,
Can I help you?
despite the door being closed. I will show you what I mean. I just have it so that only friends and Legion or guild members can enter my estate.
A pleasure, as always. Can I
But the
help
moment
you?
I change that setting,
A pleasure, as
you
always.
can see it's not instanced. It is not instanced at all. I can step outside and I can walk down the paved street over to a neighbor's, you know, and I can just visit with them if they're there. You know, if they're there, and there's actually a friend of mine. She hasn't been online in a while, but you know, this is her house, and you can see it's completely different. And oh my God, is it pink? Wow. Okay, so what is going on with these rooms? Why is everything pink? All right, guys, I need to get out of here. It's kind of wow. Okay, so back to my house where it's relatively safe and there isn't so much glossy pink. I don't mind pink. Pink looks good with certain things, but when it's that glossy, I just feel kind of smothered. Anyway, so you can move things around when you enter the decorate mode. You know, just simple button click. Allows you to move things around, move trees around, etc. Moves a little. This is my mailbox. You know, I can toggle different things. That's my Legion or Guild emblem, standard. You know, different little aesthetics like that make the game very pleasing, especially if you're a casual gamer or if you're one that's into, you know, just being able to customize your character and make it your own personal experience. Let's quickly fix this NPC because I'm getting tired of him staring at that wall. Okay, so let's move you this way and let's rotate you this way. There we go. Alright, it's as easy as that, guys. I mean, you can put down furniture that other people can use. Apparently my inventory is full, so I can't use that. And, you know, you can store cabinets, you can add additional storage, and you can just have fun outside of PvP, PvE, which a lot of games, especially a lot of MMOs, don't have that option to just kick back, relax, have a chat with friends, just enjoy the game, take in the scenery, take in the visuals, just enjoy the ambience of the game and the loud music that's playing in the background. But yes, that's just stuff that you can change later. Again, the zone is huge. This is an instance. This is a zone, and every person's house is physically represented in this zone. So if you're on the server and you are looking for me and you're looking for my house in particular, it will always be in Apex State, Goldendale Village, top right hand corner of the map, right here. Let me highlight that in case you guys decide to crash my place. There we go. Right there, it will always be there. Always. Until I sell my house or skip payments. Then the Shugos come through and break my kneecaps and take their payment. And I guess I have to go through surgery to get my kneecaps back or something. I don't know. But yes, my house will always be here. You guys can show up at any time. It's a physical representation of my status in the game as far as houses goes. So there are 5 types of houses. There's the studio housing, the regular house housing, the mansion type housing, the estate, which is what I have, and the upper echelon, the upper, tier of housing for the most prestigious of devas, the palace housing, as you can see in the distance there. I believe only one person currently on the server has a palace, but I don't know if it's even open. I might have to head on over there. Well, let's check out the palace. I mean, there's a fountain. You have your own little butler on the inside. I don't think this is open right now. Your bidding is closed, and you can still buy houses. I mean, despite the fact that it's limited to 500 houses, you would expect that they would all be taken by now, but no, you can buy houses till today. People still sell their houses, or people just, over time don't need them anymore and they give them up. There are a lot of things you can do with your house. If you guys want a separate video just with me explaining the different features about housing, let me know. I will gladly put that up. But for now, let's just keep it basic. There's housing, there's combat, and what combat's like. Just keeping everything basic. If you guys need more in-depth videos about other things, please let me know. Let me know what type of content you want, and I'll talk about that. So, moving on. What else is there to talk about? What is there to cover? So all the content in the game is available to you regardless of whether you are a free-to-play or a pay-to-play. Let me state that again. Aion is a free-to-play MMO. You can play the game at no cost to you. You have access to all the expansions, all the content, all the time. Unless, obviously, if it's down for maintenance, in which case you don't have access to the content. Don't be that one guy that gripes and complains about the maintenance when it's free. But yeah, all future content is open to you as well. You do not have to pay, although you do have the choice to subscribe to the content, and that will just give you like a prestige status where some things are slightly buffed. Nothing in the game is taken away from you. You could play this game 100% free to play. You do not have to pay to play the game, and you will enjoy all the content, the skinning, the housing, everything without having to pay. For example, Arcade has a system where you can only buy land, you can only put land down if you're a paying player. Aion's not like that. The content's available to you. It is your choice to pay if you wish to pay to play. Oh, mouthful. And that's just something that is also part of just their philosophy of bringing to players the freedom to play however you want to play. Alright, enough about play and paying and playing and paying to play and freeing to play and all the plays. Okay, so this person has decided to turn their house into a maze, and their butler, the elf, is just casually laying there on and off. Not really sure what is going on. I'm not going to bother with this because I already know that's going to be... This person is just a Class A troll. He's turned his house into a little chocolate palace thing. And yeah. You can do that. You have the freedom to do that. Nothing is going to stop you from doing that. Alrighty. I think I've covered everything. If I miss anything, I'll make a separate video and just go over it. But stay tuned, subscribe, like my videos if you like them, dislike them if you dislike them. Again, subscribe, let me know how you feel, leave a comment, let me know if you feel like these videos are worth your time. If they are not, let me know. But I hope that it's brought some more or some renewed interest in Aion to someone who previously may have tried it and just quit short of the mark, or someone who's never heard of Aion before. Hopefully this brings you in and you're captivated by what I've shown you and you can experience the game. It's not a demanding game as far as specs go. It's very light on the system. It's more CPU intensive, however, but CPUs not nowadays compared to 2008 when the game first came out aren't that high. Aren't that hard to get a system that will run this. And also the graphics has two modes. You know, you have the high quality mode and you have the default quality. I'm currently running everything high quality, maxed out on a laptop. Yes, I'm running everything on a laptop. Granted, my laptop has an SLI configuration. That's besides the point. Everything runs smoothly. This day and age, we have the tech. It's not going to be too demanding on your system. Aside from that though, guys, that is all I have for this video. If you have any requests, please let me know. Don't let my small pool of Kina, shock you. I have a lot more Kina saved somewhere else. I just try to limit it so I don't go off and spend too much of it on skins, etc. But thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, again, let me know, leave a comment, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one.